So, if this is one thing I would want to start with, today I'm sure there are people from various industries here. So, one thing I think, if you ask me as a HR professional and for any business leader today, one definite change that happened is the speed with which all the future thinking, like how a while back, I think the Aditya mentioned. I think how people were able to, we are in the future, we are sitting in the future. We don't have to look at where we are going to go. So I think for HR and business leaders, all the things which we had in pipeline, like digital transformation, or you're talking about adapting to new technology, that happened overnight. Earlier, if you had asked me, I think it was a 3-year-old plan for me. Like every quarter, there was one new thing which we were wanting to kind of bring to table. But I think that was not the luxury. So disruption, if you see across, you talk about any industry today, I think everybody is being equally impacted. Maybe there are some industries where they were able to bounce back faster, but I think disruption has been across. So this is something, if I can request all of you all to go through. I think when last year, March 20, sudden disruption happened. I think for a company like ours, where we are very traditional in our way of working, if I have to give you a statistics, 25% of us still work on a desktop. It's not because we don't want to move to a technology savvy thing, or not that we don't want to work on a laptop. People are very comfortable. If you look at our editorial teams, our backend teams, they're more comfortable using the desktop. So on March, like mid of March, suddenly when the COVID thing happened, for us the immediate thing was not, we were not thinking anything else. Our only thought was how would we ensure the desktop reaches people's home. So that is where we started. I think most of us went through that phase where March to May, I would say in some cases it is beyond May, where there was this disruption. Then came in the survival phase where now
Ashita, would
that
you mind making it a PowerPoint show? So I think
yes.
the slides would be larger. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I think then the second stage came in where everybody started to now understand, okay, this is going to be much further than what we all thought. That is the survival stage. Like, how do you learn skills? Like, you don't know how to use Zoom. Even today, if you see, I find it a little difficult to talk when it is in front of the screen. So I think these are things which we started, learning. I'm sure most organizations find these two phases. I think all of us had challenges. Then came in the third phase, which was adaptation. Somewhere we started training the mind that, now this is going to stay. It is going to take much longer. I think here is where slowly there was that willingness to adapt. More than willingness, I think here we had no option. It was like we were just thrown into the water and we had to swim. So this was an interesting stage where if you see across sectors, there are a lot of reports you would see from Korn Ferry, you would see from Gartner, where it very clearly says this is a stage, I think a lot of the process evaluation happened. So then came in the stage where this will continue, I'm assuming another 6 months to a year. I'm sure it might be much longer. So this is where we are talking today, the future of workspace. What is that you would want to do? Maybe the next 3 months, next 6 months. I think this is where all of us are discussing today. So if I may pause here and ask, is there anyone else, anybody in the room here who can tell if you were not part of this stage, as your industry, as whichever sector you belong to? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are, Akshita.
Yes. So to go back to the next thing, since already a lot of things were discussed today, I thought I'll quickly put those 4 or 5 key things which have been a concern, or maybe the things on the business leader's mind today. Whether it's a HR leader or whether it is a business leader, these are key focus areas going forward. So first, for sure, employee experience. Today, the way we are going to work, it's going to be a hybrid workforce. It is good to see that there are companies that are planning to look at permanently working from home, but it might not be a great idea for all the industries. If you ask for us as an organization, I don't think that would work in the long run. I'm sure hybrid is something that would work. So keeping that in mind, I think each industry will have its own way of, looking at things, and what works for them is what they would be rolling out. Keeping that in mind, employee experience would become a top priority. Then comes your mental health and wellness. Like some of the panelists mentioned, it becomes so difficult when, you to create those small celebrations or activities where people can come together. So in a real life situation, it is, very easy. You go step out for a cup of coffee, you have colleagues, you get to talk. There's a lot of discussion that happens. So that is a great stress buster. Not only about stress buster, a lot of ideas actually come up from those discussions. So in a on-screen mode, like it is very well, somebody said, you can block a calendar and, start a discussion. But many a times it becomes difficult to get that kind of a camaraderie on the screen. So here, mental health and wellness, your hybrid workforce engagement and employee experience, if you look at a lot of research, these three actually take up 60% of the concerns what people have on their mind in terms of working with people going forward. Technology adaptation, I think this is again very important, because somewhere the first 6 months very quickly we adapted because that was the need. We didn't have option. We had to learn how to operate Zoom, how to work from, maybe from a desktop to a laptop. But after that, today, like today, if we are talking about making presentations, like for a company like us, we do a lot of events. So today, think of events, done on the screen. I think it needs complete different skill sets. It needs complete, thought process change. I think this is where I think innovation again comes into place. Not only our industry, I think across today, people are looking at how they can make work innovative. I think this is something that is going to stay going forward. So quickly, I had 3-4 slides earlier which spoke about the numbers, but since already there were a lot of discussion that happened about numbers, I just kept the pointers saying, it will be nice only to share the pointers. If anyone has something specific on these things, maybe you can put it up. So the first thing is remote working or hybrid working, or what you call work from anywhere, where this is going to stay. I think this is something that is going to stay going forward. Maybe, as I said, each industry would look at a different mix as per what they work. If you ask for an organization like ours, where for us it has always been physical work. It's always been something where for us work from home was not something. It was more of a luxury. It was a policy where we would have, where there was an exigency, you would want to work out of home. I think for most companies in media, I think that is how it was. So today, if you see, we are all working, 80% of our stuff we are working from home. So for us, hybrid working might help. Maybe there are organizations, it was nice to hear, people have already started taking the step where you can work from anywhere, wherever you want to work. I think yesterday, if you looked at Facebook's post, you are allowed to work anywhere. But yes, it did come with that thing. Whichever city you move into, I think they will have to kind of align the compensation accordingly. I don't think that would have happened earlier. So then again, about gig economy, contingent workers. I think earlier, if you see, people would always have this fear to engage with gig workers. There was always this fear. Even in terms of contingent workers, that was always a fear. I'm sure it is more in the media industry. I don't know about other industry. I'm assuming they had their own share of, good and bad working with this set of people. I think that one good thing is we are all embracing this particular thing. We are all looking at evolving policies, how we can engage this workforce. So I was talking to our insurance provider last week. So we are looking at, including how can we include gig workers? Because we have at least 7 to 8% of our population where we have people who work on contingent model. So here, how do we ensure we include them on all the policies which only the permanent workers used to get? So I think this is an interesting discussion. But then the problem is this is a very new thing even for the insurance companies. So they are looking at finding workarounds as to how they can include them being part of these models. So this is again, I think in the next 6 months, this is something that will be evolved. And another thing we've been discussing with the insurance companies is about how would you look at mental illness being part of the coverage? Today, if you see, they have a very detailed policy. They have beautifully laid out policy for all the ailments, for everything. But today, the way we are working 24/7 from home, let's say if there is a mental ailment and I need to see a doctor, that is not part of the policy. So this is again a discussion which we have been having. The good news is I think a lot of companies have been putting this up, though there's nothing concrete right now that has been agreed on, but in the next 3 to 6 months, I think this space there will be a lot of change that is going to happen. So then is re-engineer the workforce, upskill and reskill. I think when Anurag was talking about upskilling, I think he did show a lot of slides where he gave in specific numbers, like going forward, what is the kind of number you would look at and what is the kind of upskilling or reskilling you would expect in each individual's life. I think this is something which is important or crucial for us also today. So today, if you see each one of us, we have a very different competencies. So suddenly when our workspace has changed, the way... Yes, Chandrakumar.
You registered for today's session at 5:45 p.m. sir, for this safe demystifying.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you...
For that, you mentioned in the registration form that you paid
Mr.
amount
Chandrakumar,
already. You did not see the details of the payment. Have you done?
Mr. Chandrakumar, I will speak to you separately. So this is different.
You have a Google Pay. You can make it, sir, already there in the registration form, or if you want, I can. We will.
Sure. Praveen, should I continue?
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I think training is something that is going to be a major thing going forward, which is going to be on the radar of both the business leaders and the HR leaders today. So that is where if you see the top 5 edutech companies, they are doing like 150 to 100% profit, you must have seen, because everybody has understood, especially the importance of virtual training. So that is one space to look for in the next 3 to 6 months. Then increasing efficiency. I think when Sachin was talking about the next 5 years or next 10 years, I think for us, if you see, we've started with the baby steps. We are looking at every quarter because the industry we are in, it is highly volatile. So we are looking at every 3 months, every 6 months, what are things we would do, like especially cost optimization. With the print costs going up, we can't keep changing the newspaper price every day. So here, how do we look at other options where we can look at, the cost being optimized? At the same time, resource optimization. We as an organization, or even in media, if you see, there is at least the ratio, if you look at sales versus support, it is 60-40. It is very high in the media industry. So here, how do you ensure your 40%, starts looking at or maybe starts adding more value? I think this is something which, if you ask me, which is in each business head's mind today. So these are areas which next 2 quarters, which we are going to work on. Then I think technology is a key for sure. I think today a lot of things happens with the help of technology. I think first 6 months, it was more about survival. Today, 1 year down the line or a year and a half into the lockdown, I think it is more than the technology. We are looking at how technology can enhance, the way you do business. If you see, we as an organization, there are a lot of small initiatives. It is definitely difficult for us to go big because this is not our forte. This is not what we've been doing in the past. So if you see, we have innovation-led ideas. Every quarter, if you see, we have meetings where people can come back and share what are the ideas that they have, because end of it, you and me are the kind of people who read. So as a reader or as a reader's perspective, what are few changes you would like to, have in the newspaper? Or if it is digital, what is that experience you would still want to have, like how you would have in a real-time newspaper? So these are kind of areas where we are looking at. So I've been talking only about my industry. I'm sure each one of you are working on these models where you are looking at how you can make your sector more innovative and how well you can, settle to these changes. So I'm sorry, I couldn't see this. So the last one is the diversity and inclusion, because today, if you are talking about engaging gig workers, you're talking about having people from diverse part of the world. I think it's important that you have leadership that is empathetic leadership. I think there was a time where we would talk about strategy, we would talk about how what is the kind of numbers you bring in. Those definitely will be there, but I think one thing that in the next 6 months that we are all going to look at is how well as a leader you will be able to engage your workforce. How will you be able to give them that comfort? Because today you're not seeing them every day, you don't know what is happening. I think when you meet a person, you understand better, you don't have to ask too many questions. When you're seeing somebody on the screen, it is practically difficult for you to know what exactly is happening in their life. How can you step in? So I think this is where we need more leaders who are going to be empathetic. So if you see, that is one of the important leadership skills. Even if you see the Conferry report which was published last month, it talks about one of the important leadership attribute for all the leaders going forward. Yeah. So post-COVID, so I think post-COVID sounds good only because now with the vaccination drives happening across, I think maybe another 6 months or max 3 months, we should be able to completely come out of, or maybe at least we should be able to look at things more in a normalcy. So I think these are some things which is going to stay, irrespective of, we are going to be post-COVID or not, these skills are going to stay. One is how well you will be able to adapt, how well you will be, how flexible you are when it comes to working in a different setup, in a different environment. Today the needs keep changing. When you're talking even internally or externally, I think the way you respond, the way you talk to people, everything has changed. The entire dynamics has changed today. I think these are key drivers going forward. I've picked this up from 2 3 important surveys that we published in the last 2 months. If anybody has anything which you think are important, you can please put it up in the chat box. Like soft skills, I think soft skills are something which is going to be a very crucial thing going forward. And your ability to learn and the leadership skills we already spoke about. So I think in the phase where we are going to talk about employees working from home or employees working partly from home and partly from office, I think these are few things which will be a major focus going forward. You talk about any industry today. I think work-life balance, we spoke a lot. We there is no boundary today. So how do we ensure we have policies which are, because today what happens if my boss is working, at a time which is convenient to him or maybe to her, it is very easy for that person to reach out to me after work hours. Maybe I'm a person who starts early and would want to wind up early. So these are things I think, we'll have to formulate or make it more, document it much better so that there is no conflict of interest or there is no, these are areas I would say, we will have to work on, because today what is happening, all of us are working from home. So we are somehow managing, or we are used to this 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours schedule. But it can't go on like this for long. So now if we have to somewhere bring in some kind of method to this madness, how do we do that? I think this is where I think even Sachin mentioned, and even I think Karan mentioned briefly as to what are some things we can do which would kind of make things, easier for people. Is it like, rewards and recognition, the career development path, employee-centric engagement? I think all this will take center stage. If you see, these are things which has always been on a HR person's mind. There's nothing new. But the only thing is the way we look at is going to be completely different. So today, if you see, the issues remain the same, but how do we look at renovating this, or how would you look at framing these innovatively? How can you actually reach maximum people? Like one of the panelists said, one size doesn't fit all. I think that is so apt. Today I can't roll out an activity or an engagement activity which I will think will work for all. It has to be something, my audience is completely changed today. There are different age group, there are people who work different, their working styles are different. So I think here is where the business leaders would have to step in. Here is where they would have to look at how is that they can bring in that comfort at the comfort of their house. And one important thing, if I can mention here about the retirement benefits, the way things are today, it is too important. It's not only about today what I get as benefits, but even tomorrow, let's say if I'm retiring, what are things I would want to look at from the organization? Like family connect. Today, if I'm sitting and doing, this call to locked up in my room for the last 3 years, I'm sure my family must be wondering on a Saturday, what is she doing for 3 years outside? So here, not only about the situation today, how do you engage with family? How do you ensure you give that support to kids who are, kids are also working from, they're doing everything from home today. How do you ensure you connect with the family? How do you get in that bond? I think this is one other top priority which a lot of business leaders have brought in. Short and long term plan. Today, we can't roll out plans which is like 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. Today, with the kind of stress all of us are going, whether it is financial, emotional, or whether it is any kind of a stress, maybe I would want to see what is that I have in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. I think that was one valid question Chandrasekhar sir had put up, asking, how would you engage when you know people won't stay with you for so long? So I think these are questions which, in the next 6 months, all of us need to ponder about. So we spoke a lot about what is that people expect, and as people leaders, what is that we look at. So when you talk to business, I think they have a set of expectations too. End of it, numbers have to come in. You are happy to look at all that what you can do to ensure people are comfortable. People's safety is important. You look at mental space as a very important thing. But beyond that, when you have to go back to work, or you have to work in an environment where everything is digital today, what are some expectations business has? One is your ability to adapt, because today the speed at which things are changing, I think if you're not able to adapt fast, I think you lose the game. Today, if you see a lot of organizations that have bounced back faster, are people or the organizations who've been able to devise a strategy which was helpful in adapting to the situation. So increase in productivity. I think today this is a key challenge. It becomes a little difficult for you to, people are working 12 hours, people are working more than what they would do when they were at home. But how are you able to look at how productive that work is? First thing, already you are stressing people because you've already got into their homes, you're taken away more time, but it is not actually showing up in the kind of work that has to happen, not across, but maybe in some areas. Here is where you would have to come up with those productivity tools where you will be able to look at both work-life balance and productivity. Then comes your cost optimization. I think this again, somebody had put up a relevant question as to how would you look at giving away those, or looking at giving the benefit to the clients or even employees. If you ask me, a lot of times employees ask me today, when you look at, since we are a listed company, we do have a lot of optimization strategy where we have saved 20-25% of the cost. Now, how are we utilizing it? How are we ensuring that it is used for the benefit of the people? I think these are areas where we would focus on. And also, especially when you're looking at organizations as a family, you would have to have a very transparent communication here. I cannot keep publishing reports where I say these are things I have done. But if people internally don't know what exactly is happening with those funds, I think here is where the challenge comes in. So going forward, when you talk about empathetic leadership, I think transparent leadership is also something that would take center stage. I think that is something I did not put it here because transparent leadership might, it might not relate in all the cases. But I think going forward, having communications that are transparent, people should know what is happening. I think that is something that a very basic expectation people would have. And the same thing even a business would have from people. So return on investment. Today, if you see, this is a model which every organization, every sector is kind of working on. How do I know what, the investment, what I'm getting is what I'm actually supposed to get? Is there any gap? I think this is where I think a lot of efforts have been happening. And last but not the least, first is survival. We kind of survived the entire phase. We tried to ensure we revive. Now, I think going forward, it is going to be a growth phase. How do we learn the entire, from all the learnings we had in the last 12 months, last 16 months, how would we make a strategy going forward? It has to be a strategy which is 6 months to 12 months and then 3 years and 5 years. I think this is where today, if you talk to business leaders, they're looking at how would you look at reviving the economy, reviving your own sector in the next 6 months, 8 months. This has been a top priority for them. And this is where I think people should step in. So today, if I'm a business leader, what is that I can do to ensure my organization achieves this? What are things my team can do where, I can support equally? I think these are the kind of discussion going forward you will see business leaders having with their teams. So it is very simple. I put it here. So whatever we have learned, first thing is you should keep learning, no doubt about it. Every day is a learning, because if you have to survive today, you need to learn new things. At the same time, you will have to keep unlearning, because what you learned yesterday, maybe today it's not relevant. I think we've seen that. Earlier, when I used to say this was like, I would say, does it happen so fast? But I think all of us experienced that. I think we all witnessed how fast we have to learn these three things. We need to keep learning, and there are some things which you don't need today. You need to keep unlearning. Then suddenly you realize you need to relearn whatever you unlearned. I think this is a cycle. If you ask me across, not just as a HR person, if you ask any working professional, I think this is something that would allow them to survive in today's environment, I would say. So yesterday, I was part of this session where Dr. Sanjay Arora was, sharing his insights. I must say it was beautiful. I think he shared his entire journey in that half an hour, 45 minutes, and there was a lot of things I've taken away. In fact, I've been thinking on most of the things which he mentioned. This is one thing that kind of, stayed with me. So it is, he mentioned you can't pour from an empty cup, which is so true. I think this is very, very beautiful for all of us today, not only from the personal perspective, from the professional perspective also. I think we keep looking at all the bigger picture. In that event, somewhere we completely forget ourselves, whether it is our health, whether it is our career, whether it is our finances. I think these are some things we have to start today. So this is important, because I was talking to a couple of leaders on this particular aspect yesterday after the session. So this is something you talk to anybody, they keep talking about reviving the economy. They keep talking about reviving their own industry. They talk about their own numbers. But what is it? What is the plan you have for your career in the next 6 months? What is that you want to do? What is the new skill you want to learn? What is that new thing you want to do? What is that you are doing to adapt going forward to the setup like this? Financially, what is that you're doing for the next 3 years? Health wise, what is that? Many a times we work out of home, though we don't get to travel. Very rare. If you see the survey, it says people have stopped working out. People do not have time to, give even 20 minutes for their health. That has happened. There are a lot of surveys that talks about it. Why has that happened? Because we've not been able to think from our perspective. I think in the bigger picture, I think we've lost this important aspect, which is too crucial. So I think this is something I would want to leave you with. I think it's a very important thing when you go back home today, from all the perspectives, whether it is financial, emotional, well-being. I think how is that, we are making a plan for ourselves. All the other things which we've been discussing, that will stay. You will have to, that can't be put on hold. But this is something which is very important. We've completely halted this. So I think going forward, we will have to kind of, marry these two things together. Professionally, things keep happening. Personally, also, you need to see how you are able to step up, how you're able to scale up in terms of career. I think I would want to leave you with this thought today.